All right. Well, I'm really excited to have a good friend and a powerful woman here with us today, Sharon Green from Louisiana, State Farm business owner, agent, and all around just amazing woman. So thank you for being here today, Sharon. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. It's an honor to be asked
Yeah,
to be a part of this. So I'm just honored. Thank you.
you bet. So what I like to ask a lot to start off is the name of this podcast is called Championship Leadership, which is, when I first thought of this, that name, that term, it was recommended to me. I wasn't quite sure about it, but what it really has grown on me. And I think it's got many different meanings or definitions depending on the person, right? So what do you think of when you hear championship leadership? What comes to mind for you?
When I think about a leader, that's what a leader is. A leader is a champion of people. They're a champion of the future. They're a champion of possibilities. So I think that term fits a leader quite well.
Yeah, that's great. I love it. And champion of people. That's a new perspective that I haven't heard from some of the other guests. So I love that. What I definitely look to you as a championship leader. Why don't you tell the audience a little bit more about yourself? Like I said, I already mentioned that you have a highly successful State Farm agency. Maybe the road that took you to where you are today.
Well, I started with State Farm as a programmer, and I programmed for about a year and a half. And I went to my State Farm agent to purchase my first vehicle. That was back in 1989. And he asked me, have you ever thought about becoming a State Farm agent? And I think I had that look like, wow. And he said, it's going to be all right. He said, just do your research. Do your research and just see if this is what you really wanted to do. And I did exactly that. I went and visited with, at that time, they were called agency field executives. And so I went to visit one particular person, and he was just sharing with me, keep doing what you're doing, because I was taking insurance courses even though I was a programmer. He said, continue to take insurance courses, learn as much as you can. He said, become debt free. He said, it's good to be in a position so you can borrow money. And I said, great. And so a couple of years passed, and State Farm came up with a new program called Agency 2000. And these are individuals who have been with the company for 3 years, and they can apply for agency. And believe it or not, I was fearful of it. When I thought about, owning my own business and going into a field I don't know anything about. So I was a little hesitant. And then my agent came to me and said, oh, have you heard about the new program? And I said, sure. And he started sharing with me about, well, are you going to apply? And I said, well, I'm not really sure about that. I don't know if I'm ready. So he went on to share with me how he felt about the opportunity when he started. It was fearful to him, but he saw the rewards of it, and he just, did it in fear, basically.
Yeah.
And he's the person who really got me going with that, because I'm like, he felt like I felt, and he did it, and he was successful. Why can't I?
Yeah.
I eventually went and applied for it, And the rest is history.
That's so.
Yes,
What year did you actually become a State Farm agent?
that was in 1996.
Okay, 1996. So been at it for 22 plus years since then.
Yeah, actually, yeah,
Good.
22 and 30 years total with State Farm.
With State Farm. So you were a programmer, like a computer programmer?
Yes, sir, I
I didn't
was. Yes,
know that. That is awesome. So yeah, go from being a computer programmer to an agent. Wow, and to a successful one, extremely successful one. So, I want to come back. So, is this a few things? Is that agent still around? Is he still with State Farm?
no, he actually retired
Okay.
um, maybe 7 years ago.
Okay. And did you
Yes.
stay in touch with him? I mean, he sounds like he really was. He was definitely. I think one of the things that other championship leaders do is they lift others up to even positions of themselves. Like you were a client of his. Some really small-minded people maybe would never do that because they don't want to even lose the client, or they're afraid that if they bring somebody else up into a position similar to theirs, that they might, who knows, they might actually be really good at it and pass them by. This scarcity mindset, which obviously this gentleman didn't have, and he saw something in you, and that's what great leaders do, is when they see something special in someone else, they try to lift them up or bring them along that path. And he obviously saw that in you. So did he kind of stay in your life as a mentor and a leader along the way, along your path?
Absolutely. Believe it or not, when he retired or before he retired, he called me to ask me if I wanted to come back home to Monroe and take over his agency.
Oh, wow.
And so I thought that was awesome. But I share with him that I'm in a great place where I am, and I have already, this was my third agency. So I didn't want to go another, relocate again, and
Yeah.
this would be my fourth agency.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I tell people, if I can do it 3 times, you can do it 1 time.
Yeah, absolutely. That's absolutely. So and then the other piece is you talked about the fear, right? There was this fear for you, essentially fear of change, fear of probably not knowing whether you could do it, all kinds of different, what we call stories, right? Thoughts, feelings, emotions around going after something different, right? In a way, starting
Yeah,
over, starting a new career, like a lot of uncertainties, a lot of unanswered questions. And yet, the championship leaders will act in spite of those. And so, talk us through that process a little bit. And obviously, you got, thankfully, that other agent who was urging you to take the step. Also, his ability to be able to communicate that, hey, I went through the same thing. It's natural. But yeah, talk about that a little bit. That's important because I believe that stops a lot of people from really going after what it is they want in life.
absolutely. When I thought about agency, this was something that's going to be totally different from what I'm used to think about, I am going to own my business, I'm going to employ employees, and I have to learn how to compete in this world and insurance. And forgive me for saying this, but this is a man's world. When you think of insurance, and how can I go out there and compete against different individuals? And I guess when I thought about how I can make a difference is what really changed my whole perspective. Because I started thinking about, a lot of people didn't know about insurance. And I think people are a little bit more knowledgeable today because we have so many tools out there, and then they do shop around. But back in the 90s, people didn't know. And I thought about how I can educate my family, how I can educate people that not aware of. And that's what I was going to go out there and learn all that I can so I can help people to better protect their assets. So that was my driving force, is how I could make a difference. Like, this is an opportunity, Sharon. You can impact lives. And, that's what was inspiring to me. And so I had to look beyond my fear. And believe it or not, the stuff that I feared, it wasn't anything to fear.
Yeah.
As you mentioned, they were just stories that, because you don't know is the unknown.
Yeah.
But because it's the unknown, I look at it today and I said, wow, that's why you should do it. Because
Right.
you don't know it. So how are you going to develop and mold it? And hey, what's the worst thing can happen? The worst thing can happen is that you're going to learn something. That's the worst thing.
Yeah. 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 I love it. Yeah. That's great because, yeah, you don't know. And typically we go worst case scenario, right away from the beginning. The world's going to end if we take this step and we do this. And like you said, well, what is really the worst thing that could happen? Like, you could actually learn something, have a new experience, and then go back to doing whatever you were, right? I mean, that's always the option. So.
Yes.
Yeah. And well, obviously you have excelled because you were willing to take that step in spite of that stuff. And yeah, so tell us, I mean, you're not just a successful agent, and you talked about even surviving in really in the insurance industry, which is predominantly male, like you said. I have the insurance background as well, and so my agency earlier this year. But yeah, talk about some of the success that you've had, or I'm sure you don't take all the credit that yourself. You've built an incredible team around you as well that helps you to do that. But talk about your agency. Maybe brag about yourself a little bit. I know for you, that's not inherently who you are. So sometimes we have to pull it out of you a little bit. But yeah, just let us know like where you've come inside of the agency, inside of the company, because you're one of the top agents, not just in your state, but in the company.
Well, first of all, Nate, I have to give glory to God. My foundation, and that's my strength. And so I give praises to God for where I am today, because I would share with you that I wouldn't be where I am today without my relationship. And I don't mean just the success in the accolades of rewards with the company, but success in me as a person, to have peace in my life, and to see challenges as opportunities, and not as a point to stop doing something because you're challenged. So, without a strong team, I couldn't do what I'm doing today. And so I just been blessed to be surrounded by people that I can help develop as leaders, and people that strengthen me too, because, as a leader, I don't have all the answers, and I don't have, I'm not that perfect leader. So there are some areas where I'm weak. I have people that are great in those areas. And so I surround myself with people that I can help get better, and they help me as well. So yes, I have been consistent. So that's so important to me, is to be consistent in what you're doing. As far as being one of the top agents, to me, it's not about being the top agent, but just thinking about the customers that I have helped. I go back to my first year as an agent, sitting down, having a conversation with my client and just reviewing her policies, and realizing by questions I was asking, found out that her spouse was suffering from throat cancer, and she was struggling financially, with medical bills. And here, she had a life policy on him. And we have this feature called waiver of premium disability.
Yeah.
And she didn't know about it. But here I am. I took over this book of business, and sitting down having that conversation, I was able to have almost $10,000 refunded to her because of that feature on that policy. So I have to give accolades to the agent who sold that policy. And then State Farm started paying that monthly premium. And he was going to be disabled for life. So he had life insurance that's been paid for the rest of his life by the company. So when you sit down and have conversations like that with your customers, it's not just about the auto insurance or the homeowner's insurance. It's about what keeps them up at night, what's important to their world, whereas planning for the future, making sure they have funds for their child's education, to helping them to establish a legacy. So it just goes deeper. And so with me, what I do is I help change lives.
Yeah.
That's what I see, what I do. And I impact people, just not just in my community, not just within my agency, but just across Louisiana. So, or just people I don't know, just having a conversation with them that they never really thought about. So even though I'm limited to Louisiana as far as what I can write, but I still have conversations with people, and I share with them, go see your agent. And so to me, that's what's rewarding, is to be impactful, because I realize my life is not about me. My being here is not about me, but it's about the lives that I can impact every single day.
Oh man, that's powerful. Yeah, you talked about it even from the very beginning about what got you into what you're doing now, and you said it, like the ability to be able to go out and impact people's lives and to truly help them, and to come from that place from the very beginning is you would think it's common, but it's really not. And a lot of people come into, whether it's insurance and financial services or whether it's any other industry, a lot of people come in just out of necessity to earn a living, or because that's what they have to do to live and survive, versus to shift that mindset, that championship leadership mindset of, I'm here because I have the opportunity to really impact a lot of people's lives. And then because of that, and you talked about, giving glory to God as well, and going out and in a way serving others to glorify Him as well, and to help and to take that realization and those characteristics that you have, and to do that has no doubt helped you to get to where you are today, because the focus isn't on you, and it wasn't on even on your bank account necessarily. Not that, if we impact other people's lives, we're going to make a lot of money, and there's nothing wrong with making money. And then you can take that money and you can help others with it as well, if that's what you choose, which I know you do. And so it's just so powerful. It's such a powerful perspective, because it can be so easy to get just narrow, laser focused on, just the financial side of what you do, and which can then take away from truly, being focused on those that you are serving and helping. And I think, the way you've done it is really the way to go, but it can be a hard one to see in the beginning, right?
Absolutely. I tell you, it wasn't easy. I was operating a negative, at the beginning. It takes a few years to build a business.
Yeah.
And, money to me is a tool that helps you. It helps you to start up a business.
Right.
It helps you to buy a home. It helps you to buy a car. It helps you to donate to foundations and organizations that you feel very passionate about. It helps you to help your family. So believe me, I have a passion to be impactful. But one thing I've learned, if you go out and you help people, you go out and you make a difference, you're going to be taken care of.
Yeah.
You know, just go with what's in your heart and what you're passionate about. You're going to be taken care of.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's talk about your team a little bit. You've already recognized that you have a wonderful team around you that helps you in the agency and what you guys do to really serve and impact your clients in Louisiana. But that team didn't just show up on their own. Obviously, it took someone like yourself to go out and find the right team. And again, I keep coming back to it. I mention this a lot, but if you're not a championship leader, you don't have that championship leadership mindset. You might not bring the right people in to help you get to where you want to go, because you might be afraid of, again, kind of that scarcity mindset of, if I hire people that know more than I do, I'm going to look silly, or they might move on and go somewhere else, versus which I don't think that's the mindset that you've taken, obviously. And you mentioned, you don't have all the answers, which for any true champion leader, there's a lot of power in not knowing all the answers, being willing to admit to it, and yet still being able to guide and lead others towards where it is that you want to go. So talk to me a little bit about where you learned that, in building this great team around you.
Nate, it hasn't been easy to find the right people. No, not at all. But, I have this philosophy that I don't put bodies in the seat. I find the right people. I find the right fit. Because when you just go out and get people just to fill a seat, you're going backwards. Okay. Yeah. So if you want to move forward, don't be afraid to be in a position where you're understaffed, until you get the right people. I'm not afraid of that. And, but I have to inspire my team to not be afraid. And I'm so thankful that I surround myself with people that they are not afraid. They understand the importance of having the right fit. Because when you don't have the right fit, it can be that disease in your office. It can spoil the whole organization. And then you end up with no employees. So you have to make sure you have the right fit for people to be a part of your organization. I utilize tools that help me in that area. Also, I utilize my sales manager with State Farm. If I see a potential candidate that may have aspiration to become an agent, I will get my manager involved in that hiring process. But I utilize tools, and so far I feel like I've made some good choices, and sometimes I haven't made good choices. But you know what? That's part of life. You just pick up, you learn, and you move forward.
Yeah. So let's talk. So you recognize that sometimes you haven't made the right choice, right? Someone that you hire maybe doesn't work out like you thought it would, or like you envisioned. I'd love to hear how you respond in those times, like when you find out that you made a mistake, or it didn't work out the way you thought it would. How do you respond in those times? Let's talk when we're talking specifically around your staff, your team.
Usually if I made a bad hire, I visit with my team, and we come to a mutual agreement that this is not the right fit. So my team members not surprised when it's that time to let go, because I have visits with them. I'll let them know how they're doing, what the expectations are. I do my part in helping them because I want them to be successful. I want them to do well. But sometimes you may want something more than what they do.
Yeah, right.
So, yes, so usually we walk away in good terms, and I love that. And sometimes it could be that we're just not a fit for them.
Yeah.
And I'm the type of person, I will help you get somewhere else.
Yeah.
And because sometimes it's just not always the right fit.
Right.
And to me, you learn something from it. And one thing I know that I feel that when people come in contact with me, they're going to learn something from me. It didn't happen just because. You got something out of it, and we both get something out of it. So I don't have a concern with letting people go. And I think it's important to how you do it. When people are surprised, and that's when it's not done right. But when you're having those deep conversations and they are aware where they are, and a lot of times I have them to go home and think about it. And they come back to me and say, Sharon, you're right. And I think it's just a way you do it. And that makes it a win-win situations, because guess what? The people that I let go, they come back and see me.
Yeah.
And I think that says a lot when you take the time to come back and say hello.
Yeah. Oh, wow. That's great. Yeah. So I'm hearing that you're very upfront and honest about what's going on in the situation. You're in communication, and you also don't drag it out, right? Sometimes in those situations, I've seen many people who they don't want to confront it. They feel bad, and essentially they don't handle it in a powerful way, and it just turns into something worse than it ultimately would have. And from what it sounds like for you, you're just real upfront and honest, and have some real good conversations, and you're in communication with the rest of your team, and you also realize that it's not necessary. It might not even be them. It might just not be a great fit all around. And the fact that you're willing to go out and find a win-win for everyone is powerful, and a testament to who you are as a leader. So thanks for sharing that. I think that'll be super powerful and impactful for those that are listening here. Talk to me a little bit about a time, and this doesn't have to be in your journey as an agent with State Farm. It could be something that happened earlier in your life, or something, outside of what you do in your profession. But talk to me about a time in your life where, maybe you almost went down the other path, right? When I think of championship leadership, I think of one of the biggest characteristics is decisive execution, the ability to make a decision that could really alter your life one way or the other. It could be a time where many would go one way, and championship leaders are not afraid to go down the path less taken, less traveled. Is there like a turning point in your life where, your life would be considerably different if you weren't the championship leader that you are, and you didn't make a decision that wasn't necessarily popular, that really has altered your life and has you sitting here today where you are at? Can you think of anything that comes to mind?
Wow. I guess I can think of a few things. I think about my journey as an agent. And so that's what's so upfront with me. And in this business, I was faced with many challenges, many things that are out of my control and things that are in my control. Whether it's just challenge of the business, trying to stay on top and be successful. And, I wasn't really sure that this opportunity was for me. So I thought about quitting my first year as an agent.
Wow.
And I remember driving home and talking to my sister. So during this year, I was married, and I felt something wasn't right with my marriage. So not only am I dealing with my marriage, but I'm also dealing with the challenges of my business. And I thought about quitting. And I think it was a thought, but it wasn't really deep inside that I was going to really do it. But, my sister was someone I really confided in, and I respected her. And I would tell you, if she would have said, Sharon, go do something else, I would have.
Yeah.
And I'm so thankful that she didn't, because I look at where I was 22 years ago to where I am today. And I understand. And it's so easy, to look back and understand. But when you're in it, you're like, wow. When I talk to my counterparts, life was fine for them. But for me, it was a different story. And, in my world, you really didn't share what was really going on with you. So I didn't share that with my counterparts. And so, life is good, but it really wasn't.
Yeah.
And I asked my sister, I said, why you never told me to go do something else? And she said, I don't know. And I said, I know. I said, you were there for me, being an ear to hear. But God knew. He knew the plans for me. And he knew that I supposed to stick with this agency, this company as an agent, because he had greater things in store. And what was happening during that time was that he was molding me. He was developing me. Keep in mind, I was 30 years of age, still young, didn't know a whole lot, just got married. And I realized I needed to grow up. I really needed to grow up. And, to own a business, it's a lot involved. And so there are some things that I wasn't exposed to that I didn't know. And so that period of thinking maybe I wasn't good enough for this wasn't for me. No, it was that I am good enough. I am worthy. And so I'm so glad that I could have went back and to my previous job. I was in management, so from programming I went into management. I could have went back and be happy. Well, I thought I would have been happy being a manager, but I wouldn't have been. Mm-hmm. So I'm so glad that I didn't give up because of the challenges that I was experiencing. And that has taught me a lesson even today. Yes, I still go through things, but I just see them totally different. I'm like, come on, what's next? What's next? Evidently I got something to learn. And that's what drives me, and that's what thrives me, because when I'm challenged, I know, okay, I got something to learn from this. And believe me, it's not fun. It's not fun going through, but I love it because I'm stronger. I get better, and I can learn, because the things that I'm learning, Nate, I go out and help other people, because I know there's somebody out there feeling just the way I have felt, or a way I am feeling, and to let them know it's okay. It's okay. Because guess what? What's the worst thing that can happen, Nate?
You can learn. You can learn from it.
Yeah, and you're going to get through it.
That's
You're
right.
going to get through it.
Yeah.
And so there was a point that I thought this was going to take the best of me. This was going to be the end of my world. Oh, I thank God. So that's where I go back to give my praises to God, because it's his word that inspires me, that keeps me going, that, you know, I test God. I said, God, if your word is true, then help me to see it in my life.
Yeah.
Show me that it is true, and be careful what you ask for.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, it doesn't come easy, but I stay faithful. It's my faith in God that no matter what it looks like, what it appears to be, God, I trust you. And boy, I'm going to tell you, Nate, when I look back, you know, at my faith, when it looked one way, but it turns out another. Oh boy, praise God! I'm just telling you.
Yeah. I love that. That's a powerful story. That is, and I can think of a few people that I know already that I'm going to be sending this off to that might be in that place right now of questioning what they're doing, and that is huge. That's powerful, and so glad that you decided not to, and had people around you like your sister that you know, kept you on the path that you're on, and didn't tell you to go another direction, because think of how many people you've impacted because of that, right? And you'll continue to impact because of that.
Absolutely.
So I can't think of a much better place to wrap this up. One last thing I'd really like to ask is, again, you know, this is Championship Leadership's the name of the podcast, and ultimately hoping to help others to really reach their potential as leaders and what they do and who they impact and people to follow them, and to become ultimately a championship leadership, not just in business, but, you know, all areas of life, right? What would be one last nugget or piece of advice that you could give to those that are aspiring to be championship leaders in their lives?
I would say, don't give up. Be a risk taker. It's okay to make mistakes. However, learn from your mistakes and move forward. And don't allow fear to make you stop. Fear is the unknown, but you're in a good place when you don't know, because you need to know something. You need to learn something different. Don't be afraid to learn something different. And don't allow challenges to hold you back. Don't think that you're not good enough, because you are good enough. You're more worthy than what you think you are. And fight through the challenges, because that's what makes you stronger. That's what makes you better. And help others along the way, because to me, that's what makes leaders great. They develop other leaders. And I guess last is have faith. Have faith in God that He's the answer. He's the reason. He's your purpose. And when you can go out and make a difference in the lives of people that you know and that you don't know, to me, that's leadership.
Yeah, I love it. Thank you. Thank you so much, Sharon. Really, really appreciate your time here today. Before we go, could you, how can, especially like you said, you impact and help those through State Farm and your agency in the state of Louisiana. How can people find you if they hear this and they want to work with you, or they want to get in touch with you? What would be the best way to do that?
They can go to my website. It's www.sharonsgreen.com. And you can, if you're interested in employment, there's an employment site attached to their website. If you're interested in insurance, you can apply for insurance on my site. or you can call me. My phone number is there. So if you want to reach me, get in contact, be employed, or if you just want me to help you in whatever area in your life pertaining to business or what you have heard, my story, I'm willing to help. Just call me. My email address is on that site as well. So that will be where you need to go to find me.
I love it. Thank you. Thank you so much, Sharon. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Nate. It's been an honor, and I'm just thrilled to have been a part of Shield Maiden.
Yeah.
Because you all have kept me on the right path, and you also helped me to discover some things about me that I had buried inside of me. And I thank God for you, and you all came at a right time for me, because at that point I was not in a good place. I lost my father.
Mm-hmm.
He was age 104, and
Oh my
believe it
goodness.
was my hero
Yeah.
and was my champion. And so you all, I found you at the right time. So thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Have a great day.
All right, you too.